Test, test. Where did we get the inspiration for an overcrowded city world?
I like how many Boros horns I'm seeing. Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. We discovered by accident when we first did those that you can turn them upside down and make a little helmet sort of thing out of it.
There's more.
We had no idea that could be done until fans showed us that it could. All right, are we ready to go? All right, welcome everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
Hey. Yeah, woo.
My name is Brady Dommermuth. I've been working on Magic since 1997, if you can believe that. I'm the world designer. These guys are all on the creative team. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Doug Beyer. I'm a writer for Magic. I was the... Hi. What's going on? Yeah, Gregori. We'll talk about them soon. All right. I was one of the conceptors for the Return to Ravnica set and did a lot of world building writing.
Hi, I'm Adam Lee. I also was helping Doug on Return to Ravnica and did the Gatecrash concepting.
Adam's the baby on the team. You've been working on Magic for how long?
3 years.
Only 3.
Actually, I was a freelance writer since the Cold Snap, but yeah.
We're at least past the terrible 2s.
Yeah.
My name is Jeremy Jarvis. I'm the R&D Senior Art Director for Magic, and my job is to like things that look good.
Like Richard.
Yes.
Your art looks awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
My name's Richard Witters. I'm the in-house concept artist for Magic. I don't look good personally, but I can make good-looking stuff.
True story.
I've been working with these guys for about 5 years.
All right, so we're going to talk today about Return to Ravnica. So, this isn't the paleontology
Physics
symposium.
101.
So, just a few months ago, it seems like, at PAX East, which I highly recommend, by the way, absolutely check out PAX East, great event. We showed this slide. At the very end of the panel, we showed this slide. And here's what happened.
So before you all stand up, though, there is one more thing we thought you might want to know.
We're not going to take any more questions.
Thank you.
I could watch that all day long.
Give a promotion to the guy.
Spontaneous bro hug. We gotta love it.
So why did people care so much? The security guards at PAX East got a little nervous. They started
What's going
making
on?
motions at the door. What just happened? What just happened? They came up afterwards and said, why did people care so much? Why was that so crazy? And of course, as Magic players, you know this, which is Ravnica gives an identity to the way people were already playing. Magic players, generally speaking, you play 2 colors. Maybe if you're fancy, you play 3 or 4. But your red-white deck had always just been a red-white deck until Ravnica came along and told you, you are not red-white. You are the Boros Legion. Yeah, it's here for Boros. The way it came about was we were trying to make a multicolored set that was fundamentally different from the last one we had done, Invasion. Mark Rosewater had the idea to encourage a 2-color play instead of encouraging you to play as many colors as you could. And it was my job to make sense of what that meant. What does 2-color play mean? I was delirious from jogging at the time, and at mile 5 or so, clouds parted, and I said, we're going to give an identity to each color pair in Magic. Magic has 5 colors, of course, white, blue, black, red, and green. That gives you 10 color pairs. We're going to build an identity for each one. Once we had that decision made, well, what kind of world makes sense for 10 factions that are vying for power and control? We decided that the best fit is a world entirely covered in city, which during my research I found out that there's a word for this. One of my favorite 50-cent words, Ravnica is an ecumenopolis, meaning its entire surface is covered in city.
It's an educational panel.
That's right. I'm all about the SAT scores.
Yeah.
So we're going to do things a little differently than we did with Ravnica, Guild Pact, and Dissension. This time around, Return to Ravnica has 5 guilds in it. And Gatecrash, the second set, has the other 5 guilds. The third set will feature all 10 guilds at once, a sort of Whitman sampler of the 10 guilds. And let's look at a little bit of the story behind Return to Ravnica. This just debuted last night.
This is my city, my home. After years of searching, I've come to find a refuge from this life of endless turmoil. But of late, activities amongst the guilds of Ravnica has drawn my attention. The Azorius magistrates behave with impunity, imposing ever greater dictates upon the citizenry, while the Bacchanal of Rakdos has taken on an added fervor, giving me pause in light of other guild activities, such as those of the quietly powerful Selesnians, preparing themselves for something, and to what end? And the Golgari, providers of questionable sustenance. Their rot lies under the surface, for now. As for the Izzet, the mad thinkers, Ravnica's frenzied engineers, their activities have intensified, and more guilds remain. I sense another power at work, a potent mind I cannot identify. What force is at work here? And what does it mean for Ravnica?
So how many of you were around for the first Ravnica? Woo. Nice, nice. So one of the challenges that we had to cope with was, if the average Magic player's been playing for a long time, you might take breaks, you might come and go, but the average Magic player's been playing for 7 or 8 years, just around the time that Ravnica came out. So we want to make sure that we define the guilds for the new players. If you've just started, first you're learning the 5 colors, and then all of a sudden you learn that there are 10 other categories, and we wanted to make sure that that wasn't intimidating. So you can see that the video tries to split the difference between the storytelling we want to do and outlining the guilds and the guild identities. So what's Jace doing here? He's doing something like that. Jace is trying to figure out, in the absence of a magically binding guild pact, the guilds are starting to mobilize against each other, and he's trying to figure out whether or not he needs to get involved. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Doug and Adam. The two of them are going to walk you through the guilds one by one. First, the Return to Ravnica guilds, and then the Gatecrash guilds. Take it away.
How many people out there love Selesnya? All right. Yeah, so you like destroying people with big, giant creatures. So Selesnya is my belief, my people, my guild. They're green-white, so the green meaning life, growth, and white meaning order and community. So coming onto the team, it was my job to figure out what is the new face of Selesnya. And here's the guild gate. If you walked through the streets of Ravnica, you would come to this beautiful area. Selesnya kind of incorporates architecture and nature together in sort of a Zen garden way. One of my directives from Brady was to make Selesnya the caretakers of beauty in Ravnica. Here's the Selesnya Guild Mage. Their jobs are in Selesnya Guild is they're attached to an empathic link that all Selesnyan members are attached to called the World Mind. And through the World Mind, they create new Selesnyan outposts called Vernati. And those Vernati are like new little growths that start very small and then expand with more guild members that they bring in. And here's a card, the Wayfaring Temple. This card came into being actually through a combination of an idea that I had and Ken Nagel, one of the designers on Magic. And the card kind of goes like this. I had this idea that the Selesnyan temple would be in the ground, just a beautiful temple you could walk up to, but when things got tough and somebody came knocking around, it would actually emerge out of the ground and pummel whatever that was into paste. And Nagel, who is he loves fatties, and he was more than happy to make this card. And I wanted to bring this slide in. A lot of people give Selesnya this sort of like, they're this communal sort of Hare Krishna kind of guild.
A little hippie, maybe.
A little hippy dippy, because I grew up in Northern California, so I kind of felt very qualified to groove with this guild. However, they do put the hammer down every now and then, and this is the fella that is going to bring it. And I wanted to show this one because it kind of illustrates the guild mechanic called Populate. And what that guild mechanic does is actually brings in token creatures. You can just create them. And one of the world building feelings I wanted to get across was that Selesnya actually pulls life from around them. They'll pull life from the trees, the grass, any natural element to actually build a creature out of the surrounding environment. I just love that art.
Yes, gives new meaning to making friends.
Yeah. Yeah, Selesnya would love PAX and Friday Night Magic. And with that, to Doug.
All right. The Golgari Swarm. Where are my Golgari peeps at?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. This is my favorite guild. So the Golgari are the green and black guild. They're the guild that combines life and death. This is the guild that that seeks power through growing, lurking, recycling, turning the dead into the living and the living into death, and taking power from that cycle. To them, the cycle of life and death is the most natural thing of all. This is Gerard, the Golgari Lich Lord, who has taken control of the guild. He's a powerful necromancer, and used to be an elf. He's not so elfy these days. But he sees control, and he hopes that the Golgari will claim ascendance on Ravnica. This is a look into one of the entrances down into the Undercity that the Golgari control. You can see it's very overgrown. There's the Golgari symbol there at the top. The Golgari rule in places where others would not dare to go. I think of them as the least squeamish of all the guilds. They will do whatever it takes, including feeding off the remnants of society. Here's a shot of the Golgari Guild Mage this year. There are a lot of elf shamans and death mages in this guild. They just use the power of scavenging the remains, the wastes of this gigantic city, and turning that into their minions and magic. Here's the guild mechanic for Golgari this year. It's Scavenge, which reflects their ability to take the dead and use it as a source of strength.
Pretty saucy card.
It's a saucy card. This guy leaps out of the graveyard with a vengeance and piles on +1/+1 counters. The feel of Golgari is captured by the range of creatures it employs. The Gorgons are one such creature that use their power of petrification down in the tunnels of the Undercity.
Shout out to Jason Chan. I just love everything he does.
Yep, that's pretty amazing. And when the Golgari take to the streets, it's not pretty. This is the swarm that's striding through the streets of Ravnica. The Golgari provide a crucial service on Ravnica. They, in a world that's covered in city, you have a lot of people, and those people die, and you got to do something with them. Coincidentally, the Golgari also provide a kind of nutrient gruel that is inexpensive and
Gruel. Gruel is something different.
Yes, gruel. It's freely available, and there's rumors about where this stuff comes from, but
Soylent Green.
it's all natural. It's all natural. Soylent Green Black. So yes. And now let's move on to the Is It. Where are my Is It people?
Yeah.
All right.
Slightly popular guild.
Yeah. Just a little.
The Is It are the guild of red and blue. They're the ingenuity of blue combined with the passion of red. So they're sort of the guild of mad thinkers, mad alchemists, led by this guy, the Draco genius Niv Mizzet, who is this vain and super intelligent dragon who leads the Is It and all of the wizards and mages of the guild. Here's a shot at one of the gates for the Is It. can see the kind of look of test tubes and boilers and steam vents, all that kind of thing that are built into this guild. We're trying to really create this feeling of energy barely harnessed. Here's a look at a guild mage for the Is It. These guys do not mess around. Their motto is die trying. They care more about trying something new than safety protocols. Their magic has to do with pushing something to its limits and beyond. So their guild mechanic is called Overload. This is a spell mechanic that allows you to pump more mana into the spell and have it affect every possible target. So this spell can blast a creature on the ground, but if you overload the crap out of it, it can lay waste to your opponent's entire team. The Is It are not squeamish either in their own way. Their favorite test subject is themselves. They will plug themselves right in, crank it up to 11, and let it rip.
What's this do?
It's only one way to find out, really. So the Is It are definitely up to something this year. You heard in the video, Jace was talking about a mind he couldn't identify that was of the forces that are moving in Ravnica. Niv Mizzet is behind some of these activities. Niv Mizzet has some kind of plan or project that he's setting in all the resources of his guild onto this project, and it's leading these mages all over Ravnica. They're searching strange spaces all over this plane, and it's making all the other guilds very jumpy. This year, I'm going to be writing the official story of Ravnica that's going to be coming out as an ebook that will explore this story with Niv Mizzet, Jace, and the other guilds, and all the secrets that are buried under Ravnica, including spaces like this. This is looking some of the steam pipes and boilers that help serve the infrastructure of this world. Here's a look out at sort of the horizon of Ravnica while the Is It are planning something.
It's not clear. Niv Mizzet suffered a defeat at the end of the Dissension novel and had to sort of retreat for a little while and recuperate. Now that he's gotten back, people aren't really sure whether he is as intelligent as ever or maybe a little crazy. I should also mention we're at the 16-minute mark. We have a little too much to show you. We're really excited about showing you guys stuff, so we've got a ton of content.
We could talk your ear off about this. We should move along.
We're not going to complain.
I will fly through Rakdos. So how many Rakdos people are out in the audience? Yeah. All right, give it up. The set, according to Rakdos, should be returned to Rakdos. There's the guild gate. Go through it at your own risk. We wanted to move Rakdos from kind of like a Gwar concert to Dark Carnival. So there's a little bit more of a playful, kind of sadistic twist to it now.
People ask me what the role is of the cult of Rakdos. Every guild has a role in the city, so what does Rakdos do? Well, they're really, really good at torture and parties.
Yeah, they go together well. Here's somebody partying and torturing at the same time, and it's a guild mage. Carnival Hellsteed. There are two-headed flaming horses in Rakdos, as we all know. The Unleash mechanic here is a very aggressive mechanic. It's fly at your opponents, just throw it to the wind, attack, attack, attack. Wayne Reynolds, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who do not know, he is one of the great magic artists that we know and love. That's sort of the embodiment of Rakdos right there. Strap on your blades, go into a group of people, and just watch and see what happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
10 million blades, please.
And this is what you might see if you attended a Rakdos party from your point of view. This is could be a good time or a bad time. That's the whole point of Rakdos party. You don't know if it's going to wind up pleasure or pain.
This is just the cake's point of view.
This is right.
All right, the Azorius. How many Azorius do we have out here? All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is the...
So you guys are the ones who didn't mind waiting in line, right?
No, they're not all about droning bureaucrats anymore. This is also a badass guild full of amazing mages. This is the blue and white guild. Combines the passion for truth of blue with the order and rule creation of white. The guild is ruled by Isperia, the supreme judge, who has taken up residence in the spires of New Prav. There's a shot of their guild gate here. They are a guild of noble, rule-creating bureaucrats, sure, but also awesome knights and mages, law mages, hussars. Sure, they have a form and a procedure for everything, but they're the nominal guild of Ravnica. Someone needs to take control and encourage order on this world. Their mechanic, correspondingly, is Detain, which prevents other permanents from attacking, blocking, or activating next turn. They will not, come out and just kill you, but the Azorius are going to put you under arrest for a while. Just let you sit in the slammer for a while and just think about what you've done. You'll see these runes a lot in the Azorius. These sort of like law runes, which are crucial to the magic of the Azorius. Here's an awesome shot of New Prav, where a very powerful commandment is being given down from the towers to enforce a little strict, harsh justice on the populace.
Yeah, you guys will like this card.
This card is a good card. Once you see it, wrapped in a card. All right, we're going to move on to the Gatecrash Guilds now. This is the Orzhov, another one of my favorites. These guys, this is the ruling council, the Ghost Council of Orzhova. They are a council of powerful and greedy ghosts that have traded, life, but who really needs life, for power. Yay, power. The Orzhov are a kind of crime syndicate masked in a religion. They have ornate cathedrals. They are very, very rich. They like it that way. All their power is used to secure and preserve their power, even beyond death. And they do that by bringing a lot of people to them, selling them, a line of positive-sounding religious text, and indoctrinating people into the guild.
No, please, go ahead, take a loan. You won't owe us much.
Yeah, just maybe your soul. Moving on. The priests and enforcers of the Orzhov Guild cling to their power, and they use thralls, which you can see a little thrall guy down there.
This guy gets a little funnier every time I see him.
Please, master. And so how many Orzhov fans do we have out there now that I've...
Yeah.
All right.
Satisfies my inner goth.
So moving on to the Gruul. How many Gruul people do we have?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Gruul do not like the Orzhov. Gruul combined the passion for nature of green with the rage and pure emotion of red. They're not about structure. Frankly, they're not about cities. They're kind of about smashing. This is Borborygmos, the Cyclops, who has managed to hold on to power in the Gruul by basically beating up all other comers. He's really hard to beat, and that's why he's still in charge. The Gruul kind of live in the cracks of society of Ravnica. They would like to seize more power and spread nature throughout Ravnica, this sort of oppressive civilization, but they're pressed out. They're disenfranchised more than any other guild. But they are very, very powerful. They will smash and keep smashing until the pillars of Ravnica come down. That's their ultimate goal. They would love for the old ways of Ravnica to be restored, the time when Ravnica was not covered completely in city and actually had some wild nature left in it. All right. Speaking of not the Gruul.
Dimir. And we won't speak of the Dimir, will we? How many Dimir out there? Oh, right on.
The loudest ninjas ever.
So, after Dissension, the Dimir were in kind of a mess, and then when Brady handed me the assignment, he was like, "Where are the Dimir at?" So
this is the guild that's not supposed to be a guild, and its former guild master Sadek was dispensed of in the storyline of the original Ravnica trilogy. So good luck, Adam. Do something with the scraps of Dimir. Make it awesome.
So I sat down in this lovely little sandbox, and one of the things I eventually came up with was the idea, in fact, Doug gave me the idea, was this shapeshifter of Lazav. He is now the new guild master. Here is Duskmantle.
The Dimir Guild Gate.
Oh, the Dimir Guild Gate.
Yeah.
That may lead to Duskmantle. Nobody really knows quite where Duskmantle is. Here's one of the Dimir Guild mages. The Dimir are brokers of knowledge, and they use that knowledge to gain power. Their kind of role within the Ravnican society is to take all the other guilds who want to find out stuff about each other and parlay that for cash and for power and for their knowledge about their enemies.
One way of describing the difference between Dimir and Rakdos is if you want someone killed cleanly and quietly, you talk to the Dimir. If you want someone killed slowly and messily, you talk to Rakdos.
Yes. And here is one of the Dimir's cleanly and quietly assassinations about to take place. Selesnian should pay more attention. And Boros, this is the red-white guild. This is very aggressive and also very
How many
ordered.
Boros legionnaires out there?
Yeah. Right on. This is the war leader, Aurelia. She is the new guild master of the Boros. She is a headache for the Azorius because she does things her way, and they sometimes go against statutes and subsections.
She's also the one who's most nervous about Niv Mizzet's project. She doesn't like what the Izzet are doing at all.
Mm-mm. And here is the Boros Guild Gate. All of the Boros architecture has this sort of fortressy feel to it. It sort of reflects their way of looking at the world and at Ravnica. They want to make sure that the innocent are protected and that other powers don't get out of control. And here is a fellow who is going to enforce that law in a big way.
So you might recognize this guy. This is Gideon Jura. Oh, hello. Gideon has come to Ravnica seeking some allies in a fight he was previously dealing with some Eldrazi on a different world. And he's come to Ravnica looking for allies, planeswalkers who can come help him with that conflict. Once he arrives in Ravnica, he finds that there are a lot of innocents here that are being caught in the crossfire between the guilds. So he's sort of pitching in with the Boros. He's not exactly affiliated with the Boros, but he finds that their method of direct action for a higher purpose to be, he's sympathetic with that cause. And then we have the Simic. How many Simic folks do we have here? All right.
Yeah.
So the Simic love life. They're the guild of blue and green. They love life, and they would love to perfect it. This is the guild leader, Zagana. She's a merfolk. This is a look at the guild gate for the Simic. This is kind of an entrance into one of their deep grottos under the earth where they restore life to places on Ravnica where they can and perfect life, improve on life. You know, maybe create some crazy mutants that would be even cooler than the current, you know, take a bear, take a spider, take a fish, and combine it with something else and get something even weirder. This is a guild mage who's an elf, but also has definitely kind of this aquatic feel that.
In the previous story, Momir Vig, the very, very strange ancient elf, had developed this cytoplast technology, this weird bio goo that could enhance, you know, if you put it on your head, it would make you smarter. If you put it on your arms, it would make you stronger, etc. That got him into a lot of trouble, and his grand experiment, which was called Kraj, ended up doing some severe damage to the world of Ravnica. Vig fell, and in his absence, the Simic were a little bit fallow for a little while. In the first Ravnica block, for those of you who remember, there were no merfolk. The story of how merfolk came to the world will be told in the coming months. It has to do with something called the Wilds Initiative, which gave rise to the return of the merfolk from Ravnica's buried oceans. So stay tuned.
All right, so we are about to change gears. That is the immersive view of all of the awesome and cool things going on currently in Ravnica and some of how we got there. Now we are going to, assuming that you like the sausage, we're about to show you how some of it was made. So there were a lot of decisions to be made, visually as well as in writing and story arcs, as to how we move from the original block, which everyone knows and loves, to the new one, so that everyone can know her and love her it more. All right, let's start with the guild symbols. One of the things that always kind of tweaked me, on the left is the original, on the right is the new one. And yes, like Doug talked about, the Azorius are in fact bureaucrats, and there is a form with multiple pages for everything. I didn't like the idea that a bureaucrat's business card would be like, I get paid by the hour and I'm going to waste all your time. So, you know, so I wanted to keep those shapes without just flat out drawing a labyrinth on it. I did not think they would enjoy self-identifying that way. And so it was Richard Witters that started to come up with this vocabulary of this runic symbology that kind of replicates those shapes, but without being just self-identifying as the worst part of someone's job.
I made all kinds of annoying, fiddly little work for myself. Each letter.
Yeah, for whoever wants that tattoo, enjoy that. Boros, I wanted something a bit more communist, frankly. And that is not necessarily speaking to their ethos, but the way the propaganda posters look, the way the architecture looks, I really liked that for them. And within minutes, if my memory is correct, of saying that, it was actually Adam Lee that busted open Adobe Illustrator and created that awesome version of the Boros Fist of Power on the right side of the screen. Demir, we just cleaned up some because it was kind of sloppy. So, you want to talk something about Golgari?
Yeah, sure. Basically, I think Jeremy just wanted the other symbols are so sort of tight and representational that Jeremy tried to explain to me about 80 times what he wanted with this.
This was a bad one for me to tell you. It was. This was completely just a bee in my bonnet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
he took a fat black marker and started sketching some stuff out. So we kind of worked from those, but it came out really good.
And we wanted it to look a little bit more organic, a little bit more animalistic and feral to represent that Golgari dark wilderness.
Yeah, something so stenciled felt wrong to me for Golgari, and also the kind of visual pun on recycling in the original. Again, like, I don't think that's how they view themselves. Like, we're the gross garbage men. Yeah, like,
That's not how we view ourselves.
And we'll come back around to how the insectoid visuals increasingly are going to play into Golgari. Mm-hmm. Now this one you can talk about because you fixed it. I swung and missed. I did, I don't know, 50 of these because I knew I didn't like what was there, because it's like, it's one of those things, it's like a dish of food where every element is right, but together they're all gross. It's like chocolate calamari, something else awful. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, they're red, so let's get some fire. All right, they're green, so tree on fire. And also Cyclops. And I just don't like where it went visually. And so, you know, I wanted something more primal and more etched and still keeping that, so Richard actually nailed this one.
Yep. And I think we started rough. Like, we didn't like the original because it looked too manufactured for the Gruul.
Yeah, too refined.
Yeah, so we tried to find something that looked like hobo sign.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
and Richard being both Gruul and a hobo, it was just right under his doormat. We just went and took pictures of his place and then used one.
That's right in your wheelhouse.
I woke up under a train and scrawled this, and then went home.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was a big revamp.
This was a big one, but I also felt it's the one that we had the most license on because of the flavor text on the original Izzet Signet talks about how Niv Mizzet likes to reinvent his signet often, and it increasingly looks like him. And so I was like, all right, well, you gave me an out, past writer who messed up, so let's redo this.
If you really don't like it, we'll change it again.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a subtle quote of the fire mind with a little bit of the crowny motif carried through. But again, less hectic, nicer. I do believe the Is It have an aesthetic sensibility, and I don't think it was previously being delivered on by the kind of erratic edges of the first one. So these are things that keep me up at night. It is very, very subtle, but if you squint at them, you can tell I didn't touch them. So this is another Richard Witter save, because again, I just didn't like the one on the left. Like the aggressiveness and all of that was working, but it's like knife pumpkin. I don't know. Again, we deal with a lot of iconography and magic between expansion symbols and different guild affiliations, and if it's not something I would wear on a shirt, I kind of don't want it on a card. And so I wanted something that Rakdos would be proud of, be it the players or the members.
So I was cutting this up in Photoshop, did one side really tight, copied it, flipped it, and was starting to squeeze them together. And I was like, no, that's good. We'll just leave that. Just stop there.
The creative process, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. Yep. Your chocolate's in my peanut butter. This, we just cleaned it up. If you look down at the root system and all of that stuff, there was just it's just completely aesthetic calls between the two.
Yeah, it's more manicured.
And this is the exact same with Simic. This very much wanted to be kind of an Art Nouveau thing and was not quite living up to it. And we, again, like once we latched on to some of these ideas drove the concept art for the new block, and some of the concept art drove these ideas. And so Simic is one that when we get there, you may or may not see some organic metal motifs playing through, kind of as if metal grew as seashells. But that's months. Let's not even worry about that.
So we got about 5 minutes left. We're going to show you a bunch of concept art now.
All right. So what we want to talk about is we're going to show you 3 examples, and we're going to have to move quickly through them, of this is original Golgari concept art from the first block. It is very, very good. The artist's name is Doug Alexander Gregory. And you have this very strong motif of the skull-like face, the kind of death mask on top of their faces. Yep. This is art from the original block.
So what we're going to try to give you guys here, like Jeremy was saying, is we're going to go all the way back to the original artwork for 3 guilds, for the original concept art, then show you some of the artwork from the original Ravnica, then show you the new concept art and how we sort of expanded on the themes, and then new artwork.
Yeah. So we see that guy, almost that exact guy, with the face paint running. Here he kind of is again. Again, this is not a comment on the artwork. The artwork's incredible. Here is another guy, and this kind of seeded the kind of insectoid thing that we latched onto. Mm-hmm. And next up are some new things. You want to talk about these?
Yeah, sure. These were done by Pete Moorbacher. For the push, we actually had Wayne Reynolds, Alexi Briclo, Pete Moorbacher, and Sam Burley. We do these pushes once a year for a world like this. Pete really nailed some of the interpretations of that face paint and also some of the cool gross stuff that Doug likes.
We're taking that idea of the death mask face paint and broadening it into insectoid quotes, like the little fake eyes above their actual eyes, playing into this idea of insect motifs, be it on a shield or on what they're wearing or on their faces, because that's where they live, that's what they deal with, and it's just cooler to be like, awesome shiny bug chitin than like take out your trash.
Right. And we talked to Pete about wanting to get a sense of dark majesty for the Golgari, almost like a sort of fungal, unseelie court in a way. We wanted them to seem majestic in their own way.
Yeah, and his answer to that is on the left, there on the screen.
Totally cool.
Now here's one yelling. All right. So, is it? You want to drive?
Sure. This again is Doug Gregory's original concept from Ravnica. Is it just so strong, these concepts especially were so strong that they almost took over Is it in the first Ravnica. So we really wanted to blow this out and show, not just one old guy like me with white hair, which like here and here, some of the original cards. We expanded it a bit.
You can just hear that guy going,
some of the original card art.
Yep. And new stuff.
Yes. So you can see this shows you right away. We took a step away a little bit. We're like, this guy's a little bit younger. He's got more of the junk on him, and that's what we really wanted to push for. Here's Wayne Reynolds again. Wayne is great for Is It because there are a million valves and spiky things all over them. This is Pete Moorbacher again, and this one you can really see. We're keeping the themes and the colors and everything, but now we have some guys and girls in there. This is the theme of the Is It. We're still keeping color schemes and things like that, but just broadening it out.
Alexi Briclo got bored of drawing awesome stuff, and so he made this goblin head out of Sculpey there in a day. He just like it's not actually on a base. He like grabbed part of a desk lamp and just put it on. That's how Alexi rolls.
What you can't see is there's subtle color on it from where he was taking my Copic markers and huffing them and spraying it on it. And I was like, Alexi, those are varnish-based. Those are not water-based markers. Don't put them in your mouth. And his purple teeth. What?
I don't care. This is for art.
Die trying. That's the Is It motto.
Yes. Yes. He's at home right now having a stomach pump.
In France.
Yes. So here are examples of how that paid off. Again, like Richard said, keeping the visual craziness and just kind of turning all the knobs up a little bit. Except for age, we turned that one down some. Like you can have young Is It. Their hair is white because they probably had their head in a microwave. Rakdos, let's just bomb through this really quickly. Yep. Notice the chains, notice the blades. It's a little all over the place, though. Like, you get the idea through context. And actually, in the first block, the names and flavor text crew did a lot to kind of bring that circus and carnival idea into it. We wanted the art to do its own hit. That is an excellent painting. We wanted the art to be able to pull its own weight a little better. And so here we go. We're getting a little more Harlequin, a little more gestury.
That previous slide, Wayne drew the figure on the left as one of the first Rakdos sort of proof of concept things. He's like, ta-da! Look at all these people I killed.
And there's no one else in the room. It's a reveal for them.
That's Rakdos applause right there.
Yeah. Yep. Don't party with Wayne.
And Alexi was into creepy baby monsters.
And he drew some as well.
Yeah. if you inhale enough Copic markers, you can do this too.
Yes, yes. And here's some of the card art paying off.
The cool part, I think, for our concept crew is seeing your concept go from like our rough concepts, which we do tons of them in a 3-week span, to the guys doing the final card art. That transition is just really cool to see.
That is what we have on existing guilds. One of the things that we felt strongly about on the return was that Ravnica, when you are not looking at a guild itself, has a little bit more of a visual identity. We wanted architecture that was neither Boros nor Azorius, and also we wanted some clothing motifs that were like, if you go back and look through the original block, as good as the art is, as soon as something wasn't in a guild, who knows what it is? Like maybe it's Eastern, or maybe it's bucket helmet, or maybe it's whatever. And so this is my attempt at being a fashionista and figuring out where buckles go.
We drew these around my kitchen table.
We did. Richard drew the paper doll for me. We were in such a hurry that blue paper doll I was drawing on top of, I couldn't even do it myself. I was like, I need help. Make a hand turkey. And here's how it played out. You can and you'll see a lot of these motifs play out through the block. Creatures that are not of a particular guild that are just awesome. Here are more of them.
As you know, every Magic set needs some giant monsters, and even though we've got giant monsters in all the guilds, we wanted to make sure that we populated the world with wild things that don't belong to a guild.
Like giant deer.
Yes. That thing's going to have hip dysplasia like a Great Dane. Here's a painting of it. You can tell it's Ravnica because buildings.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
That's based on Adam. Stomping through the office.
Here are some street shots trying to put a fine tooth on exactly where the architecture architecture can live. And also, we really wanted to reinforce seeing things through things, like that sense of depth and how dimensional and deep Ravnica is to be a city built on top of old city, built on top of older city. You probably get some weird views. Golgari, speaking of city built on top of old city, coming up with specific architecture motifs for each guild. Rakdos, the gag with Rakdos was these enormous gateways and portcullises that could accommodate the man himself should he choose to attend your party. So
Jeremy had a really cool idea for some of the Ravnica streets too, with the giant stairs and the tiny stairs.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
And here's an example of tiny stairs so everyone can get in and a doorway big enough for him. And back to Brady.
All right, so just real quickly here, I wanted to mention that we've got a little Facebook app called Art Fight Ravnica. You can earn points for yourself, and there's a little guild leaderboard that tells you which guild is working the hardest at revealing the art. Really, this is just, it's a light little thing that is a great way for you to see a whole bunch of the art in the Return to Ravnica set, and a little bit from Gatecrash as well. Finally, I want to talk about the pre-release experience. How many of you go to pre-releases? Yes. Yeah. My favorite thing. We're changing the pre-release experience pretty dramatically this year. When you go to a Return to Ravnica pre-release, you are going to choose a guild, and you'll get a box full of stuff for your guild. That means some crazy things like 10 different pre-release cards, 5 different pre-release cards, one for each of the 5 guilds. You'll make that choice again with Gatecrash, obviously. When Gatecrash comes out, you'll choose one of those 5 guilds to fight for. So please call your store owner or your tournament organizer and ask them if they're offering pre-registration. Maybe gently encourage them to offer pre-registration, because we think that these are going to be popular and fun and pretty huge.
The Rakdos one has a knife in it.
No, it doesn't.
That is not true.
We managed the price point because the Demir one's empty.
Do we have to sign a contract?
Yes.
All right, and with that, we'd like to give you guys a chance to ask us questions.
If you just line up at the mic
Yes,
here.
line up at the mic and don't kill each other.
Hi, go ahead.
Hi there.
Make sure this mic's live.
Test, test, test. All right. So first of all, my name is Brian. I've been playing for 15 months.
Awesome.
Insane product that you guys have. Cardboard crack is real. I guess the first question that I have actually is about old Ravnica, and that is for people like myself and my friend here that we've been literally just playing for about a year and some change.
Yeah.
What would be a recommendation that you guys would have for us to get to know the old stuff?
There's a ton of web content, and all of our web content from the original Ravnica days is all archived. If you go to the author archive, you'll find multiple articles about each guild. We also just recently published an article on the website called Ravnica Then and Now, which is meant to sort of give you the bird's eye view of the difference between the two settings.
Cool. And then so that for the story part. What about the card perspective?
So for cards, there's always Gatherer, of course. The old Fat Pack Players Guides have the full card catalog in them. Do you guys have any suggestions about how you look at all the cards at once?
Definitely Gatherer. I would go to
Gatherer.
the official Wizards Magic card database and
Gatherer.wizards.com.
yeah, give it a sort that gives you Ravnica block, the original Ravnica block, and just like peruse all the cards you want to.
Mm-hmm. And you can do the same with articles on the Wizards site as well, and read, just like people are reading now about re-releasing the Return to Ravnica, you can read the build-up to the original.
And you can take the guild quiz.
Right? You take
Yeah.
the
Find out what
Right.
guild you're on.
Yep,
Yes.
did that. Yep.
Right on.
Thanks for your question.
Hey, thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
With the choice to return to Plains, is there a possibility that for newer players that you would retell or revisit older story arcs like the Brothers' War?
That's going way back. It's possible. It's possible. Some of those old settings and stories have different values and a different look feel than what we'd like to do now. Never say never is the answer. If there's enough player demand, then of course we'll consider it.
We are listening.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hi. I just started playing about around Scars, and so I missed all of Ravnica, but all my friends love it. And so I was wondering, is there anything in Ravnica that you felt is left out of Return to Ravnica? Something that you like maybe didn't have a place to fit in?
Sounds like you were.
Yeah. Besides me.
I'm sad that we didn't get to see Helldozer 2.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Helldozer is just slumping in the corner with his mace arms.
I think one of the things we tried to do this year that was different from the previous go-round of Ravnica was not just grow the guilds out of the color pairs from a sort of color pie perspective, like what would these two colors together mean, but actually what's awesome about these two colors. What would make someone proud to be part of this guild, and why would you self-identify as this guild? I feel like every guild is in a way a character, and each of these characters thinks that he or she is the hero of his own story. So this year we really am trying to make it possible to be super proud of your own faction, your own guild, and that certainly was present the first time around. This time we're focusing much more on that.
Thanks for your question.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm a huge fan of the Ravnica block, and
Awesome
I've read all
costume,
the
yeah.
novels. And so in the Dissension novel, we learned that Agrium was kind of a city plane floating on top of like the ghost world.
Yeah.
And in the Then and Now, you said it had been taken away with the mending, and wasn't the mending a really long time ago? So how long ago was the original Ravnica set?
Can you read our minds?
It's about a generation and some change has passed since the last Ravnica. Ravnica was only, like, since the dissolution of the Guild Pact in the beginning of the new story, maybe a couple dozen years have passed. We are aware that there are some continuity challenges. Frankly, I'm more interested in telling cool stories than I am in figuring out exactly what year we're in. I know that sounds a cop-out, but we do think about it. We try to get our ducks in a row. The Agrium was a sort of layer upon Ravnica where the spirits of the dead couldn't leave the plane and move on. And over time, it became this sort of ghostly layer upon layer of Ravnica. And now it exists separately as its own sort of meta-plane in a separate planar space.
Because I was looking forward to seeing like floating city on top of city in the art.
I don't think that even after Return to Ravnica block, I don't think that we will have seen the last of Ravnica. So perhaps sometime down the line we'll see Agrium again.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Hi there.
Hi.
One of the things I felt kind of strongly about when I was reading, guys had a recent article. There was a bit of flavor behind Krenku, who got put in Magic 13.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did poor Feather ever do to you?
We'll pass that question on to Jenna.
Yeah. What did Feather do to Jenna?
So in the novels,
in a huge fight.
this is a challenge we had to deal with was that for the first time we had the card players who had completely different expectations for Return to Ravnica than the novel readers did. For the card players, they're like, where's Savra? What happened to my favorite guildmaster? And the answer is, she's dead. You had to read the book to learn that. She got killed by Sodic in an elaborate plot. For the novel readers, it's like, where's Feather? Where's Pivlik? Where's Birakazir? And all these other characters that the card players had never heard of. So it was really difficult to bridge the gap and make both audiences feel satisfied. Feather was an angel character who was an ally of Agris Kos and who became the Boros guild master at the end of the story. Feather has been relegated by the more warlike Aurelia, and her fate is unknown currently.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Was the ordering of which guilds are going to be in which set dictated to you, and then you kind of simple story from it, or you had a story in mind? It's like it's important to get these players out of the gate first, and then we'll wrap up with the second half of these guys.
From the creative perspective, we built the whole world pretty much as one. The design and development side was much more in charge of assigning across Gatecrash and Return to Ravnica which guilds were in which. Pretty much, from our perspective, it's kind of immaterial which comes first. This is a world to us. We just sort of visit there and check out what's going on and write down what we see. So yeah, the order of the when the guilds come out this year, this time, was much more on the design and development side instead of creative.
And then we just went with whichever drawings Richard had done more of.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So, even though I only just started playing Magic a few months ago, I've known how to play since I was in like elementary school, and I've seen a lot of the cards over time. And this isn't a Ravnica specific question, but it is an art over time question. I remember seeing a long time ago a lot more like stylized art, card art. In particular, the ones that like kind of looked like stained glass windows were always my favorite. But it seems like now that now that one of my friends got me in to start playing, and I've seen a lot of cards just from the last block or so, a lot of them tend to be a lot more realistic. Was that a conscious decision to sort of stay away from stylized art, or is that just, am I missing it? Am I just not seeing the cool stylized ones?
So that one's on me.
Okay.
I commission every piece of art for the game and have since Future Sight. And what I can tell you is stylization does happen within the game, but it happens in different places, right? Like Lorwyn was incredibly stylized, as was Shadowmoor. Now, Innistrad was stylish in a different way. Return to Ravnica is pretty straight-faced. So over that continuum, you go all the way from Michael Comarch to Omar Rayen, right? Like very, very broad, but it's not all going to happen on the same table.
So is it sort of an issue of just maintaining a sort of artistic continuity within individual sets?
I think to back Jeremy up here a little bit, he's trying to artistically like tell the best story he can with that particular set or theme. So if you're kind of thinking like, here's Innistrad and it's like gothic horror and stuff like that, that brings certain things to mind, and we get excited about that stuff. So you'll see a lot of that, and it has a realistic edge to it because you want to keep it, part of it in the real world and part of it this gothic horror raw.
And we're happy to, you can visit our forums. There's an art and artists forum there. If you want to ask that question there, we'd be happy to talk about it more because it's an interesting issue, the way magic art has evolved over the years.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Sorry if that wasn't an appropriate question for the
round.
Oh,
No,
but thank you.
Totally appropriate. Yeah. Thank you for your question.
We think about it every day.
Hi guys. So for a plane covered with city, for the people that aren't stuck eating Golgari gruel, how do they get that food? Where does it come from?
So part of it is the Wilds initiative that I mentioned before. When the Guild Pact unraveled in the last plot, the world sort of collectively realized there just was not enough nature. Maybe food can be conjured. We haven't established
they have to import it from
continuity
another plane. There's another plane somewhere that's all farmland.
There's the refrigerator plane.
There's a few 200-ton beasts that they can.
Yeah,
right.
There's definitely living things to consume on Ravnica.
It's also true that in order for the planes to be characteristic enough, we do sort of ignore some questions about realistic physics. Like, how does weather work on Mirrodin, for example?
The answer is always carefully.
Right. Thanks.
I have a pretty easy one. Any plans to do an unglued or an unhinged in the next couple years?
We can neither confirm nor deny.
I will take that as a hopefully.
It's not a no.
It's not a no. Okay. Thank you.
So Magic gets to touch on lots of different kind of mythological and folklore type of backgrounds.
Yeah.
It's great to see that kind of throughout different sets and that kind of thing. And I was wondering from each of you, like, which is the one that kind of inspires you most? What piece of folklore, what piece of mythology, like what universe really inspires you outside of the Magic universe?
That's a cool question. I love this job partly because I don't have to pick. Like, in a way, I get to just goob out over ancient Japanese mythology or the sort of like mythology of Hungary and the Czech Republic and dig into these things and just be a jack of all trades of these different cultures and bring them to life in Magic. I just think that's amazing. But Ravnica is my favorite.
Yeah, for me, I'm the same way. I like just sampling stuff. I love digging into a particular piece of folklore or history or mythology and sneaking it in. Recently, in my time frame, I've been working on Magic for 15 years, with Shards of Alara, some of the Angels of Bant, I worked in some Zoroastrianism into the angel structure in Bant. That was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed. I mean, you kind of pull from every area. Like I know and New Phyrexia, which was a really depressing set for me because I did Blue Phyrexia, and one of the things I was studying was sort of like Nazi Joseph Mengele kind of ideals, where they were mad sort of doctors that were completely sociopathic. So you know, I learned about that for research on the Demir. I was doing terrorist cells, how they sort of operate.
Oh, we didn't mean to give Adam all the dark stuff.
Yeah, what
apparently that's what happened.
I want to look at your history in your web browser. God knows.
I know. I'm on Homeland Security.
Yeah, you are on a list somewhere.
Thanks for your question.
Okay, cool. Hello. So I was wondering how people join guilds. Like, are they born into a guild? Do they choose when they become adults? Do you get families split across guilds?
Oh yeah. So every which way. I mean, I envision some people are actually born into their guild. That they're it's passed down, and yes, son, you will be Orzhov like your father,
or resurrected into it.
Or yeah. But I think other people are join or even change guilds in the middle of their lives. There's certainly efforts to recruit in Ravnica.
So people even switch guilds?
Yes, it's not. It can be socially tricky to do so. But yeah, if your ethos does not fit with the guild, then yeah, you can actually break and join another one. You may encounter friction. With your old guild and your new one.
Selesnya is the type of guild where it might like recruit you and try to convert you.
Totally.
Whereas Rakdos, you just kind of wake up. You're like,
what have I done? I'm part of the Rakdos.
No.
Yeah. Oh well, that was a crazy night.
What are these clamps on me?
The Selesnya conundrum is, I'm tired of being a token. I want to be a real card.
Quick question. There's a lot of artwork in M13 and a lot of the flavor text hinting about Bolos. Is he maybe sieging the city, or is there, like, I'm pulling from cards like Wit's End. It's very city artistically styled. It's in the city. So I'm just wondering if he's going to make an appearance, or
he's still busy in M13 right now. So
cool idea though. You're hard.
Nicol Bolas, I mean, he's our sort of chess master, always behind the scenes, but he will not have direct involvement in the Return to Ravnica storyline.
Cool. Thank
you. So there's a little bit of fervor that sort of surrounds like Commander or EDH, and I was just sort of wondering how the community's sort of interest in this has affected the development, and more specifically, how there's no proper four-color general like the Nephilim.
Certainly there is awareness of the format and thoughts about it when creating legends. There is thought to what colors are available and not available, and what sort of holes could be filled. It is not the number one priority for this year. There will be some legendary creatures that are aligned with the guilds. You will definitely see some of them. New generals, new commanders to be used. In terms of four color, I don't think it's off the table, but it's not. It may be a while.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Do we have time for one more question, or we're done? Okay. So this is the final question. Thank you. Sorry for those who didn't get to ask their questions.
Okay. I just have one quick question. After the dissension, I'm not too familiar with the storyline, but did anything bad happen to the Orzhov? It seemed like I'm not aware of anything bad happening to them.
So the Orzhov emerged more or less unscathed. The Ghost Council can change in membership over time, but the Ghost Council, the Obzedat, has remained. I'm happy to say that Teysa Karlov will still be around and will still have some agency in the story.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.